Now let us look into the DAX X function. Now there are standard DAX functions and functions that end with an X. Here on the screen you can see a few of those. These are called the X function in DAX. Let us understand the concept of X functions. The standard function, for example sum, takes table column as the only argument. We need not create an intermediate column for calculation. It performs calculation on an entire column and returns a scalar value. However, with X function, it requires two arguments, a table and an expression which is the column name. It is an iterative function. That means it does calculation for each row, stores it in a temporary memory, and then finally displays the result. It filters the column and performs calculation on that. You will be able to understand it better as we do some demos. Problem statement. Add a calculate column to the territories table to calculate the total revenue across each sales territory. So let us go to the data view and go to the territories table. Now I want to calculate the total revenue for each region. Now we will perform this using both the sum and the SUMX function so that we get a proper understanding. So I'll add a calculated column to this. And I'll call this sum function. And type in the function name sum. I'll hit the tab to select it. And as we said earlier, the sum function takes only one argument, which is the column name. So here it is the revenue column from the sales table. So I will select that. Then I'll close the bracket and hit enter. So you can see that the sum function has given a scalar output. There is no filtration or segregation. It just provides the total revenue. So it is just an aggregate of all the values in the revenue column of the sales table. And it is not done region wise. It is just the sum total of all the entries in the revenue column. Now let us look at how the SUMX works. So I'll add a new column for SUMX. And I'll name it SUMX function. And use the function SUMX. And you can see it takes two arguments, that is table and expression. Now the first argument table is sales here, comma, and the expression is the revenue column in the sales table. I'll close the bracket and hit enter. So you can see here that there is no difference between the output of the sum and the SUMX function. Why? That is because I have not specified that based on what criteria should it filter the revenue column. So for that we will combine the SUMX function with the related table function. So just like we use the related function where it automatically fetches the value based on the primary key connecting the tables, related table also works in a similar fashion. So the first argument of the SUMX function, which is tables, for which I have given sales, I will add related table to it. And then I will close the bracket here. So related table sales is the table argument for SUMX, and for expression it is the revenue column from the sales table. So the related table function will filter the data based on the key. So I will hit enter. So you can see that for each sales territory, based on this sales territory key, it has calculated the total revenue. So the related table function identified the sales territory key in the territories table and the territory key in the sales table to understand the connection and fetch the relevant data. Now let us cross check this value. So if you remember, we had already created a measure named total revenue. So let us use this measure to cross check the calculation that we got using the SUMX function. So let's go to the report view. I will add a matrix to it. And to this, I'll add the sales territory key as the row value. Now to this, I'll add the total revenue measure. So just check this box, and here is the total revenue for each sales territory. Now let us go back to our data view and check the values. So you can pause the video here, take time, check and compare, and ensure if the values match or not. Now I'll delete this matrix for the time being. And let us go over here and rename this column to say total revenue. So whenever you want to change the name of a column, just right click over there, select rename and give a name of your choice. Or you can even go over here and change the name. So I'll rename it to total revenue. Enter. So you can see now that the column name has been renamed to total revenue. So I hope that you are now clear with the concept of X function in DAX. In this section on X functions, we compared the standard functions with the X functions and understood their working. And then we performed calculation using SUMX and the related table function.